Hi everyone, it's Evelyn, and we are going to go over the dahlias that do the best in the heat where I live on my property because we have had a warmer than usual June and July, so it's been really easy for me to figure out which ones love the heat the most. Now, I've broken it down, of the top 10, I've broken it down into 5 that are not dinner plates and 5 that are. We're going to start with the not dinner plates first. We're saving the dinner plates for the second half because those are my top 5 realistically, because dinner plate dahlias are really important to me in my bouquets. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know, like this picture, I sell flowers in my roadside flower wagon, and I live in a city. It's a small city. I'm really close to the downtown core. I have a 1/8 of an acre city lot, which has our house and our garage and everything else on it. And dahlias are really important to me because they're prolific. So you get real good bang for your buck in the space they take up on the property in the flower beds that they're on. Now, aside from selling bouquets, I also sell flowers in pop cans. And I sell a lot of ball dahlias specifically in the pop cans. I like to have the odd dinner plate dahlia in there as well. So as you can see in this picture, I've got ball dahlias and 1 dinner plate dahlia. I actually have a decorative dahlia in the back there. It's the really super dark red one. That's Arabian Nights, but that's not a great one for the heat. Now, I tend to pair them by color because that's the way they sell the best. And when they're in the flower wagon, they sit in a tray that holds 4-inch pots, and it's got 12 spots in it, and they hold the pop cans really well so that they don't tip over. And people like buying the pop cans because they're easy to put in their drink container, and the flower stays in water because the pop cans are full of water. So this is one example of 1 day's worth of dahlias, sunflowers, and sweet peas that have gone up to the flower wagon, and this is another day's example. And then we're going to move on to what my number 10 heat-loving dahlia is, and it's a real surprise. It's a cactus dahlia, a 4-inch cactus dahlia called Snow Princess. Never in a million years would I have thought that Snow Princess would be heat-tolerant. Cactus dahlias normally aren't. So I've never actually used it on hot days in previous years. But this year, I tested it, Vaz Life on it outside in the heat in my bouquet making station, and it lasted really well. So then I tested it at the flower wagon, and it did really well. So it comes in as my number 10 for the main reason that it has a completely different texture than the other flowers that I have in pop cans, or realistically even in my bouquets with its little cactus petals. Now, a cactus dahlia has a petal that if it was flat, it was wider, but they curl backwards to make them really skinny. And it was always my understanding that they didn't do well in the heat, but Snow Princess has proved otherwise. So that one I use in pop cans. I don't use, because it's a 4-inch dahlia, I don't use it in bouquets yet anyway. So coming in at number 9 is another white one, and it's Petras Wedding. And the reason it comes in at number 9 and not further up is because it's very prolific. So it's a really good one for me to use. I always have at least 2 of them available each day for the pop cans. And I only have 2, 4, 5 plants of it. And I'm able to cut 2 or more flower heads per day for the pop cans. So that's really good. The problem is it has slightly thinner stems, so it doesn't hold up as well as some of the other dinner plates, but it holds up really well. I can certainly know with full confidence that if I put a pop can of Petras Wedding out at the flower wagon and it gets bought, it'll give whoever buys it a good week's worth of life out of that flower. So then, coming in at number 8 is Bolt, which is a yellow ball dahlia. It has a thicker stem. And the only reason it comes in at number 8 and not further up is because the next 2 pop can dahlias that I used just have incredible heat tolerance. Bolt is really good. It stands up to the heat fantastic. Petras Wedding does too, but Bolt so much better than Petras Wedding. It's very prolific as well. I only have 3 of those plants, and I can cut 1, 2 or more each day on that as well with only 3 plants. So it's very prolific. So I love using Bolt. It's very heat tolerant. It's a staple for my pop cans. But the reason it gets beat out by Wizard of Oz, which is number 7 on my top 10 heat-loving dahlias, is because Wizard of Oz has a thicker stem and it just holds up like you would not believe in the pop cans. It is an incredible dahlia for using in the heat. And my flower wagon is up at the road. So when we're at 30 degrees Celsius, it's in that heat because the sun is beating down on that flower wagon. So it's really important that any flowers that I put up at the flower wagon can handle the heat that it gets. And boy, Wizard of Oz is just, you put it up there in the heat of the flower wagon, let's say for a full day, you'll still get a huge vase life out of it, even though it's been beaten down by the weather for the full day. But yeah, no, it's a fantastic one. And it tends to be one of the more popular ones that sells too. So it will, if somebody's going to buy a pop can of flowers, that's usually the one that goes. Now, number 5 on my list is Cornell Bronze, used in pop cans as well. But the reason Cornell Bronze bumps Wizard of Oz is because by nature, it's a taller plant. So if I want to use Cornell Bronze in bouquets, it's really easy to do. I can get really long stems on it, and it's also really prolific. I can use Petras Wedding, Bolt, and Wizard of Oz. I don't know about Snow Princess, but I can use those other 3 in bouquets if I need to. But I have to cut much deeper into the plant because they're only about a 3.5 foot. Is that what it says on the? Oh, so Petras Wedding is 2.5 feet tall. Bolt is 28 inches tall, so a little bit less than that. Wizard of Oz, I don't have the height, but it's pretty much the same. But Cornell Bronze, I don't have the height on that either, but I just know for a fact that it's taller than that. It's at least 4 feet tall, if not taller than that. So I can get really good long stems on that. So I can use it easily in pop cans. It's very prolific. It's incredibly heat tolerant, but it also has really long stems on it so that I can use it very easily in bouquets if I want to take that one away from the pop cans and start using it in bouquets. So those are my top 10 through 5 ball dahlias and the cactus dahlia that love the heat. Now we're going to move into the dinner plate dahlias. So for those of you who don't know, dahlias are my bread and butter. They are what I'm known for. In fact, the first 2 years of selling flowers at my flower wagon up on the road, all I did was sell dahlias, and I didn't do them in bouquets. I just did them in the pop cans, and I did incredibly well. The 3rd year, I decided to expand into bouquets, so I started growing some things that the dahlias would match up nicely with. And that worked out well, and then after that, then I tried to expand the season, not later on in the season, because dahlias go right up until the killing frost, but I tried to expand the season before it, and I've been working on getting that perfected over the last few years. But anyway, so a lot of people still, they want my dahlias, so they always ask me, I gotta have to pause this video. I'm just, sorry, one sec, I have to cough. Sorry about that. I think I breathed in some dust or something. I don't know. Anyway, there's a lot of people who specifically wait till my dahlias come out and are ready to purchase at the flower wagon because I'm known for my dahlias. And for that reason, actually, August tends to be my best month of the year as far as flower sales go because the dahlias are really coming on strong. I have them in July too, but they're really coming on strong. And word gets out, people know I have the dahlias and they come to buy them. And yeah, so August, although it tends to be a slump month for a lot of people, it's my best month. Now, if you're enjoying this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up. I do really appreciate it. It does show that people like my videos, so it's good to have it for the algorithm, etc. And now, let's get on to the dinner plate dahlias. So number 6 on my top 10 list of dahlias is Yara Falls, which was new for me last year, accidentally. I had ordered through my wholesaler 8 tartans, which I'll put a picture of it later on in the video. And instead I got Yara Falls. And I wasn't actually upset about it because I really liked Yara Falls. I love that two-tone of the red and the white. I like two-toned dahlias. It was heat tolerant, and it fit well into how I did bouquets. So this year, I was very happy to grow it, and you know, through tuber proliferation, I grew more than 8. I think only 10. I just increased it up to 10. And I was really looking forward to using them, and they are blooming now quite well. The interesting thing about my Yara Falls dahlias is that last year, they're grown in exactly the same spot. The plants were taller than they are this year, so that might have something to do with the heat. I'm not sure, because the heat this year, again, was much hotter than in previous years, so that does affect different things in different ways. And so it hasn't shot up its height yet. So I've been using it a lot in lower, like vase arrangements, but not so much in bouquets. I don't even know if I've used it in bouquets yet at all. But what I mean by vase arrangements is, for instance, this. So this is a vase arrangement that I sold sometime in the past week. And the vase is about, let me just see, with a ruler, how tall would I say that vase was? That vase was probably no more than 7 inches tall. So I've got 2 Yara Falls in that, and it's paired with a Spartacus and some purple marjoram. Now that is the way I've been able to use Yara Falls, but I always have vase arrangements out in the flower wagon as well. So it has been one of the staples that I do use in the vase arrangements. But I have not used it in bouquets yet because I haven't had the stem length like I had last year. And I am putting that down to the fact that we've been a lot hotter, so the plants haven't shot up in height like they have in previous years. That's what I think anyway. So that's why Yara Falls comes in at number 6. Because while it's a dinner plate dahlia that handles the heat exceptionally well, I'm not getting the stem length that I was expecting on it. But that could change. But even still, it will probably still stay at number 6 just because of what the other 4 are. Now, speaking of tartan, which I did when I said that I had ordered 8 tartans from my wholesaler and I got the Yara Falls, that one comes in at number 7. Now you can see it's also white but instead of white and red, this one's white and deep purple, and it is really a stunning dahlia, dinner plate dahlia. I've grown tartan for quite a few years. It's not one that I have good tuber production on, so it's one that's really hard for me to increase my stock on. That for whatever reason, I can't get good tuber production on that dahlia. I also don't have high productivity on the flowers on the dahlia. But I just love it so much because it's so different than the other ones. So it comes in at number 7 because it's not prolific in flowers. It's not prolific in tubers. And it's not as good a vase life as number 9 and 10, but you'll have to wait to see what those ones are. But it is absolutely stunning in bouquets. And so here it is in a bouquet paired with an espresso gladiola, gold light sunflower, probably 2 gold light sunflowers, some marjoram, purple marjoram, one of the last drumstick alliums, and some laurel leaves, and that's this bouquet. So that depth of the purple with the little white sections in the dahlia, what that does is it stops that dark purple dahlia from becoming a black hole, because without the white within that dahlia, that would be a huge, super dark spot, which would suck the energy right out of that bouquet. But the dance of the white within it allows the bouquet to have lots of depth, have lots of what looks like light reflection, and also lots of shadow, which are the 3 things that are, for me, really important in bouquets, is light dance, shadows, depth, and of course composition. So I like this one. I like how this bouquet turned out really, really nicely with the tartan. Really, really happy with tartan as a dinner plate dahlia. Really happy that it's heat tolerant, and that's why it comes in at number 7. Number 6 on my top 10 heat-loving or heat-tolerant dahlias is Labyrinth. Now, Labyrinth is one that is prolific in blooms. It is also one that is prolific in tubers. It is one that has that dance within it because it's got so many different shades of salmons and pinks, etc., that it has such a beautiful dance of color within all the petals. And also the petals themselves kind of twist and curl a little bit. So there's so much movement within the actual flower head itself that it is just one that I absolutely adore. It is very heat tolerant, but not as heat tolerant as the next two that are coming up, which are just like nuts for how well they handle the heat. But Labyrinth, yeah, I mean, I would always have Labyrinth in my garden because of how prolific it is, how good it is with its tubers, how much of a dance it has just within its own singular head. And in a bouquet, you can see here how beautifully it pairs with the plum pro-cut sunflower. The shifting of the shades and tones within that plum pro-cut really pair nicely with the Labyrinth and actually pull away that autumnal feel of the pro-cut plum and makes it feel more lighter and more summery than it can and will do in fall arrangements. Here again, it's paired with an espresso gladiola and purple marjoram, and there's a branch of laurel leaves tucked in there somewhere. But you can see again, the dance between the dahlia and the sunflower just gives so much movement that isn't actually there. And again, the lightness and the darkness gives that shadow and light reflection that I love so much. And then just the pairing with the marjoram, which is a much more delicate flower against those strong-bodied, dramatic sunflowers and dahlias. And then that spike of the gladiola in the back, which even though it's an olive, a deep red, it catches light really nicely. So it does have its own kind of dance within it. Anyway, it's, yeah, I love Labyrinth. It makes a really, really good dahlia, dinner plate dahlia to use on hot weather. Not just in bouquets, but as you can see in this flower arrangement, also in flower arrangements. So here in this one, I've got it paired with a Yara Falls and with a Vasiomegos, which is a sport of Spartacus. Sport of Spartacus means Spartacus was the original dahlia, and then it had some anomalies in it that they focused on to draw out, and then ended up with that pink dinner plate dahlia. But also in this little vase arrangement, I have some of my radish pods, which I love using in the vase arrangements especially. I'm not using them in my bouquets so much right now because I have other things that I'm using in the bouquets. But I've discovered I really like using the radish pods in my vase arrangements, and of course a backdrop of laurel leaves. Okay, off you go, off you go. Off, no, off. Good dog. So, again, if you not just enjoy this video, but other videos of mine that you've watched, but you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. So close to getting to that 1100 mark. I think I have 3 more to go and I'll be at 1100. Looking forward to that. And now we will move on to number 8. 8? 9. Number 9. So number 9 is AC Lumis, and it has always been my top number 1 dinner plate dahlia for the heat, just for likes, just for everything. It's very prolific. It has really good tuber production. It really stands up. I mean, it stands up to the heat better than any other dahlia in my cut flower beds, including the one that I've got as number 1 this year. The reason it's not making it number 1 this year is, again, probably because the weather is different this year. It's not as prolific as it has been in past years. Not sure why. Again, probably the weather. It's usually my most prolific bloomer, really close to Labyrinth. And I can rely on being able to cut it every single day of the, I can't remember how many, let me just see, how many of those do I have planted? I have, if I look at my map, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 planted. And that should be enough to give me AC Lumis every single day for bouquets, and yet not this year. And it's also not growing as tall this year. It's staying quite short, which is surprising. So it's been bumped from number 1 for this year. And it's just such a beautiful dahlia with its crimson color and its white frosting on the edges. But it's just not performing this year as it has in past years. And again, we've been a lot hotter in June and July than in past years, so I will attribute it to that. Now here you can see it in a bouquet with, again, espresso gladiola. I'm using a lot of glads in my bouquets right now. My evergreen glads just came on in the last few days. So prior to that, almost every bouquet would have an espresso gladiola in it because I have a lot of those. But the AC Lumis with its white frosting and crimson colors really does pair nicely with the glad. And here too I've got Pro Cut Gold sunflowers. And I have marjoram. Oh, I even got a poppy pod in there. I'm pretty much out of poppy pods now. And there'll be a laurel leaf in there somewhere. But yeah, it's really stunning in bouquets. And I really wish it was more prolific this year. The problem is if we're getting into hotter temperatures every year, and it is a temperature-related thing, then that will mean that my AC Lumis will not be as productive as it has been in past years. But again, maybe it will be. Maybe there's some other reason why it's not up to par in its production of flowers this year. We shall see. So then we move on to my number one dahlia for heat tolerance, productivity, good tuber production, just absolutely everything, and that is Spartacus. Spartacus is just a gold mine for me. It has been delivering and delivering and delivering, and I am so happy I have it in the garden. I have more than 10 of those because it wasn't as productive as AC Lumis last year, so I decided to actually grow more than 10. And I actually grew 11, 12, I grew 14. So yeah, I mean, I didn't need to because of how productive it is. But anyway, and you can see it in this bouquet. I've got 2 of it in this bouquet. It's paired with a mophead hydrangea in the center, which is the blue colors because we do have acidic soil where I live. So hydrangeas do tend to bloom blue rather than pink. I've also got it with some snapdragons, poppy pods, and laurel leaves. And I can almost guarantee that I will have 2 Spartacus to cut every single day, which is all that I want because generally I would like to only put one of one type of dinner plate dahlia in a bouquet and pair it with another type. So like right now when I'm doing the glads, it'll be 1 gladiola and 2 dinner plate dahlias, 3 Pro Cut sunflowers, 3 purple marjorams, a couple of laurel leaves, and possibly something else tucked in there as well. But that's kind of the base. So that adds up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 stems, which is plenty for a $25 bouquet. So I don't really need to add anything else to it, just that as the ingredients. And it's working out really, really well. They're selling quite well. In fact, I was going to start filming and I had to stop because I had to go make another bouquet. Oh, now I'm looking at the window and there's 2 people outside my fence pointing to the dahlias in the garden with a car parked in front of the flower wagon. And I couldn't start filming because I had to go and make another bouquet. So I should pay attention to whether or not these people are going to buy another bouquet. But anyway, yeah, that's the top 10 heat-loving dahlias for me this year. A little bit different than last year. Last year I had a couple in there that are not in there this year. I had Sweet Fabian, which was a ball dahlia, which I actually decided not to grow this year because it was too close to Wizard of Oz in its coloration. Instead, I decided to grow Joey or Jowie Frambo. Now, what it looks like in pictures on the internet is not what it looks like blooming in my garden, and I'll put the 2 up, one above the other over here, and it's not heat tolerant at all. So that as an experiment is not one that really worked out well for me. The other one that I had on there last year was Papageno, and Papageno I have only been able to, now I only have 4 of them growing in the cut flower beds, but I've only cut 3 stems of flowers off of that so far. So that's why it's bumped off for this year, because 3 stems over the course of the past month is not enough for it to make the heat tolerant. And that could be it's heat tolerant, but again, the heat that we've been getting has probably really slowed down the production of flowers in it. So those 2 that made my last year's list are not on this year's list. Now, I know a lot of you would prefer to grow the ball dahlias than the dinner plate dahlias because you think they have short vase life. I do get 7 days out of my dinner plate dahlias, no problem. But if you're more somebody who likes to grow ball dahlias, I did a video earlier on this year on what my favorite ball dahlias are, irregardless of whether it's hot or not, because the dahlias go until the first killing frost. So once we get into September, October, November, heat tolerance is irrelevant. It's relevant for July and August. So maybe for the first half of September, but that's only half its season. So heat tolerance is not the most important thing for the full season of dahlias. So if you want to know what my favorite ball dahlias are, I think you should check out this video up here, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.